is an internationally esteemed scientist, a record-setting astronaut, and respected commander with the United States National Aeronautics and Space Administration. And whereas, on September 3rd, 2017, Dr. Whitson successfully concluded her third mission to the International Space Station with a total of 665 days living and working in space, the most for any U.S. woman, and 8th on the International All-Time Space Endurance List. And whereas, Dr. Whitson is one of the most decorated American female astronauts, holding distinctions as the first woman to serve as commander of the International Space Station, the only woman to command the International Space Station twice, the record holder for the greatest number of spacewalks by a woman, the longest single space flight by a woman, and the first woman to hold the position of non-military chief of the astronaut office. And whereas, Dr. Whitson is a beloved alumna of Iowa Wesleyan University, who has dedicated her life to bringing positive change to the world through her career in space exploration and scientific research, as well as her commitment to inspire others to dream big. And therefore, consistent with the mission and values of Iowa Wesleyan University, and in recognition of her lifetime of outstanding, meritorious, and distinguished service, the Iowa Wesleyan University Presidential Medal for Outstanding Merit is bestowed upon Dr. Peggy Whitson for her exemplary leadership in service to the nation and the international community, for the passionate advancement of space exploration and education in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Commander Whitson, will you please come forward to receive your medal?
Some of those experiences have really positive effects, while others would definitely be considered maybe not optimal. But we learn from all those experiences, and what we do with those experiences is the most important thing. So it's our will and our drive and our desires. That's what truly defines us. I was born in Ringgold County, not all that far from here. I was raised on a farm where there were a lot more cattle and hogs than there were people. In fact, the closest little town, Beaconsville, only had 32 people in it when I was growing up. It's down to about 11 now. Many of you also grew up on farms, so you know what it is to experience the work ethic of a farmer. My parents are some of the hardest working people I've ever been exposed to. And I got exposed to that work ethic from a very early age. One of the most memorable chores I remember doing is walking soybeans. And you may not know what walking the beans is, but it's when you step between two rows of soybeans that traverse, when you're 5 or 6 years old. It seems like forever. And, I'm supposed to go down this row with my hoe, and I got my brothers and my sister and my mom and dad on either end, and we're all going down the hoe, and we're looking for the cuckleburs, digging them out, and, making sure that we don't get more cuckleburs next year. You were incentivized. Because they're going to be out there next year. So, and then when you get to the end of this incredible expanse, when you're 5 and 6 years old, this is a long way to go. We got to go all the way to the end of this field and get to the other end. And guess what? You turn around and you find a new row, and you get back in, and you walk all the way back, and again, repeat. So it's really acres. It's a lot. Trust me. And really, I think if I hadn't become an astronaut, maybe I'd have become one of those people that genetically engineered soybeans so that you could put herbicides on them to kill the cuckleburs and save future generations of child laborers. Luckily for me, somebody else did that. For me, watching the moon landing at 9 years old was a really memorable event. It was a very definable moment in my life. I'm not sure that a 9-year-old can really grasp the significance of an event that defined an entire generation. But for me, I took away that experience and it grew inside of me. That seed of inspiration was nourished by the experiences I had growing up. Even though I was far away from any rocket launches and any real knowledge of engineers and scientists that made it a reality. I was a Trekkie. I liked watching Star Trek on TV. And another key event in my growing up was when I was 10, my dad learned how to fly. And I absolutely will never forget taking off from that grass strip and flying over the cornfields. And then when I graduated from high school, that was the year NASA picked the first female astronauts. And so I think in my mind, that was the time when the dream became a reality, when a dream became a goal, something I thought would be attainable and that I could work for. I am quite sure that I was lucky at the time that I had no idea what the odds were against me. Because there's thousands of applicants for any slot, and so luckily I had no idea. And I just kept plugging away, digging up those cuckolders. As I graduated high school, I also made another really important decision about where I wanted to go to school. I can't believe that was 40 years ago. I remember applying to 4 or 5 schools, but I don't remember any of those. I can't tell you what they were. It seems that, in my memory anyway, that Iowa Wesleyan was the only choice for me. My motives for choosing Iowa Wesleyan were in part the biology department. It was a topic that I really, really loved, and I knew I wanted to work in that area. And admittedly, there was a desire to play sports. So a small college was going to be my only chance to potentially compete, since I wasn't a great athlete. However, I really loved the team aspects of sports, and in retrospect, I can clearly and unquestionably say Wesleyan was the perfect choice for me. I'm a bit of an introvert, and being so in this small community allowed me to gain a lot of confidence and build independence. I had some incredible role models and mentors here that continued to mold my life in extremely positive ways, and luckily it didn't involve walking any more soybeans. Seeing the work ethic, the love of their jobs, and the genuine desire to help make students advance made extremely positive impression on my life, and a decision I never questioned or doubted. It was important for me that I had this dream and a goal that I was working toward. And my mentor, Dr. Whitson, was one of the few people I told of my goal. And before I graduated, she introduced me to Dr. James Van Allen, the discoverer of the Van Allen belt. Some of you might know about him. He was working on some robotic satellites, so I was able to see some really cool, real space hardware for the first time. However, when I asked him about becoming an astronaut, he told me that whole astronaut thing was a flash in the pan and wouldn't last. He recommended I find a different career. While I was really excited about seeing space hardware, I didn't much care for his advice. So I chose not to let it interfere with my path. after finishing graduate school at Rice University, I was accepted for a very prestigious fellowship at the Salk Institute in La Jolla, California. When I called the professor to tell him that I received a fellowship from NASA and that I was going to take that job, he told me I was making the biggest mistake of my life. I do regret I don't remember his name. I would have... called him from space station. I applied to be an astronaut every selection cycle over the next 10 years. And in spite of my perseverance, all I got was rejection letters. Until that 10th year. In retrospect, it's much easier to look at those 10 years and think of them as training. And the exposure and the really unique work that I was able to do and to learn from. At the time, of course, I thought it sucked. But the experience does offer an important lesson, embracing and learning from each day. I know now that I'm a much better astronaut for those things that I had learned and experienced. And all of these experiences growing up in Iowa and being here at Wesleyan were a part of it when I finally flew in space. And while I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do when I grow up, I know that all these experiences, and many of which were shaped here in Iowa and at Iowa Wesleyan, will be with me always. Thank you.